this works. Okay, better? Better?
I don't know. I'm about to. What the hell?
No,
Because it's still showing offline for you. Oh wait,
no, but it looks
I just don't see you.
all right, I think we're good. Let me send a message in chat.
Yeah, I see. I see your chat, but like I said, I still don't see the stream. It's weird.
Let's give it a second. Hey, Core, can you hear and see us all right? Sorry for the little technical difficulties. All right, waiting. What are you seeing on your end?
I still just see the picture of me in your chair.
When you refresh it, what happens? Because I see it now.
And you know what? I just pulled it up on my phone, so it's weird. I guess my app on my laptop's not working.
Okay, but
I'll
it is working.
yeah, it's running the ad on my phone right now, so I'm just gonna close this and then I'll jump back in.
Okay, all right. Let me know when you're back, and we'll get started.
All right, I see you now.
All right, awesome. So this will be the beginning of the video. This is the Coinspiracy Night here from the Crypto Mountain, and today we have the inaugural episode of Mining Mondays. And so I have officially caught the mining bug. I picked up a miner probably a month or so ago, then immediately picked up another mining rig, and am actively searching for a good deal to get a third. So, uh, in the spirit of that, I really wanted to bring on some people who had been in this mining game and are a little deeper down the rabbit hole than I am. So today, I'm excited to announce that I have a very special guest. He is a contributor, a mining contributor at Whale Reports. He is the creator of Walking on the Moon. It's the one and only Crypto Christopher Walken. Say hello to everybody.
What's going on, man? Excited to be here. Pilot
Well,
episode.
pilot episode. I'm going to send out one more message in the mountain. Do you want to send out a message, like a tweet, real quick?
Yeah, I'll jump on Telegram,
Okay.
my chat group.
Okay. Because I think we're on and good now. Um, yeah. So let me talk about, I'll talk a little bit about what the goal of today is. Sorry for the little technical difficulty in the beginning. We're going to talk about a couple of things. I want to hear about what mining is for Crypto Christopher Walken, what his setups look like, how he found himself where he is, and then we're going to talk about some of the things that we've learned along the way, and hopefully you can benefit from that as well. So just let me know when you're back.
Yep, back on the stream.
All right, awesome. So let's start from the beginning. So where like how did you get involved in crypto? Like how long you been in the scene? Where'd you first find crypto? Tell me a little bit about how you found yourself here.
So yeah, so I first heard about crypto and Bitcoin and all that back in like 2010. A buddy of mine that I played a bunch of online games with, World of Warcraft, all that. He told me about Bitcoin and he was mining it, and basically just this magic internet money that you could download and make with your graphics card some electricity and buy stuff. And at the time, I didn't buy it. I thought it was kind of whatever. But in 2011, that same friend of mine told me that basically you could take Bitcoin and there were certain websites you could go to and sell it for in-game items. Like we were farming World of Warcraft gold and selling it to Chinese websites. It's like
That's
it was like
incredible.
it was like 8,000 gold for like one Bitcoin at the time, and then I started getting a little more. So in 2012, with Diablo 3, they had the Real Money Auction House, and we would farm gold, and then we would sell that off for Bitcoin, and then we'd take that Bitcoin and we'd get all the best armor and items. That way, we'd save ourselves from hours and hours of grinding on that freaking game. But we found out later on that was totally against Blizzard's EULA. So if you're listening, I'm sorry. But yeah, so like we were talking the other day, I do have some funny stories, but I have an echoing fury that if anybody on here played Diablo 3 was the best weapon there was in vanilla Diablo 3. But I spent about 100 Bitcoin on that in 2012, so
Just just 100 Bitcoin. Just 100
just
Bitcoin.
100.
Wait,
And
what is it called though?
it was Echoing Fury. It was like the best weapon in the game back in vanilla Diablo 3. And then there was Mempo at Twilight. That was like the best helm. There was a ton of armor, which none of it's relevant anymore after the hundreds of patches they've had. But so it just kind of sits in my chest now, just hanging out, reminding me how much money I could have.
Yeah, because we were talking about this the other day, and I gotta say again, thank you, because if people like you did not buy dumb shit with crypto, like we would not be here, right?
Yeah,
Bitcoin
there's
would be
there's
worth nothing if some dude didn't buy 10,000 pizzas with it. Um,
yeah, which funny enough was where I'm at. So I was actually done here where I'm at. Funny story.
what's up, crypto Squirtle?
Hey, Squirrel, what's up, man?
If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat. I know we had some technical difficulties. I thank you for bearing with us. If you're just tuning in, Crypto Christopher Walken was just telling us how he bought this amazing piece of equipment on Diablo, and for the low price of 100 Bitcoin in 2011. No big deal. Um, but that being said, people always laugh at the guy who spends 10,000 Bitcoin on pizza, but I have a feeling that he probably still did all right for himself. And I would guess that that was the beginning of you kind of walking down this path to end up where you are now. So did you like stick with crypto, or was this something that you came in and out of?
Oh yeah, they killed the Real Money Auction House. I ended up in 2012. I think I was running like a GTX 9800, which was like the last NVIDIA card I've ever owned. Which, sorry, I know all the NVIDIA fanboys out there, but I do love my aim. But yeah, I was mining on like one card, and it was getting like a Bitcoin a day back then because that was before the world of ASICs. And then I ended up selling a bunch of it, and I got my first 4 card rig. It was a 4 card rig of 7970s. That was back in like 2013. And then from there, the bug bit. I was mining, and then I decided one day to get a little froggy and get my hand into trading after years just keeping it on a wallet. So I traded that and moved it over to good old Mount Gox that we all know. And all that
Brutal.
Bitcoin that I had forever went away.
Brutal.
So yeah, so 2014, I bid adieu and I sold my miners and sold everything. And at that time, I was done. Didn't want anything to do with it. So No, so 2016, Four was talking to me about Ethereum, this new thing that just came out. I'm crazy for. At the time, I just had a gaming computer. I had it was like two 90Xs in it, and started mining it again because I was like, whatever. I've got this computer just sitting here. I'll just mine it while I'm not gaming. And it killed it. It was, I mean, shoot, 2016. It was probably getting like two and a half Ethereum a day at the time.
Oh my
so
God.
yeah. So later in the year, I ended up selling a good amount of it. I think it was like 150, 190 bucks a piece. And then I built my first 6 card rig. Another set of 290s. And then the funny part though was the difficulty spiked so much that the 6 card rig was only getting about 3 Ethereum a day. And
Only 3 Ethereum a day.
Only 3, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
When in early 2016, the 2 cards were getting 2. So, but yeah, after that, 2017 started all the madness. I sold a bunch of it like May, June timeframe. I think that's when it started spiking up to like 300, 400. I sold a bunch of that. I ended up building like my first real mining structures. I built 4 more rigs with that. And then I could have built more, but I decided to pay off debt and stuff like that and actually be smart with some of it. But I built 4 more rigs. It was 12 480s and 12 580s to add on to the 6 290s. So I kept mining. And then that was also the time when I started getting back into the actual trading aspect of it. So
Nice.
yeah, then 2018 happened. Ethereum shot up to like $1,000.
Yeah.
And then sold a bunch there and then watched it go higher, but oh well. But yeah, and here we are. Still mining. All those rigs still working.
Yeah, so it sounds like you had, despite the fact that you spent 100 Bitcoin on a piece of Diablo armor that isn't worth 100 Bitcoin anymore, and despite the fact that you lost all your coins to Mt. Gox, it sounds like because you stuck around long enough, you had multiple opportunities to be like an early adopter. You get in an Ethereum at $3 even after you got all your Bitcoin, taken from you. So that's awesome that you like stuck around, and I'm glad that you still had the
That's
chance.
why I tell people they get wrecked. There's always another opportunity out there. We're all still so early in the space.
Yeah. So I guess you mentioned that you like kind of moved over to trading, and a lot of the content that we cover is really focused around trading, which is why I thought it was so important to start having some regular content on some of the other opportunities that are available in the crypto space. And I think mining is one of the biggest opportunities available in the space. So
I agree.
So why mining instead of trading, in your opinion?
So for me, it's really just the passive income aspect. And plus, I mean, I've been big into computers my entire life. Like my earliest memories, I mean, I'm gonna date myself a little bit, but I was like 4 years old, and my dad had a Tandy T1000 computer from Radio Shack, and he taught me how to use DOS prompts so I can get to like Reader Rabbit and all those kids games and stuff back then. And then I built my first computer when I was 12. And that was a monster rig. It was like a Pentium 2 with like a 8 megabyte Voodoo 3D FX card. So
Fire.
Killing it, playing original Diablo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and then even in the real life, I'm still heavily into networking and computers. So yeah, I just love it. And
so
I mean, it's not that hard. It really isn't once you get into it. I think people have the fear of building computers and the money aspect and all that. And it really doesn't take much capital to get going, get your feet wet.
Yeah, especially I was actually just talking to my wife about this downstairs, because I'm talking to her about this other rig that I want to buy, or these cards I want to buy for this rig, and she's like, "You're spending a lot of money on these cards," and in my head I'm like, if you only knew how much I lost and made on a daily basis in absolute shit coins. I mean, like, I will throw, what do you drop, $3,000 on a decent rig, right?
Yeah, around there.
Yeah, ish. 2, 3, 4. Whatever. We'll talk more about prices in a minute. but I'll drop that on an altcoin, an illiquid altcoin position without doing much research at all, right? Like a couple Twitter
Exactly.
shills, 5 minutes on a chart, and I'm like, yeah, yeah,
They
sure.
got a white paper. They're good, man. They're
Right,
solid. There's a
right.
CEO. He's real.
This website looks nice, right? 5 grand, sure, take them, take them. So no, I totally hear you on that, and I do think that it isn't that difficult, and most of us have like some kind of computer background. Like I remember we used to have computer class back in it was either elementary or middle school, and while this woman's trying to teach us how to use Windows, I had put damn small Linux on a bunch of USB keys with a version of Doom. And so from the back of the
Nice.
classroom, like 7 of us are playing Doom on the LAN, right? While she's like, and then you click the X to leave the program. And we're like, you know what I mean? Like for the kids from South Park, like playing World of Warcraft in the middle of the class. So,
Yeah.
so there, one more thing about like why mining, right? So the one argument that I think gets brought up a lot is a lot of people say, well, if you get a 6, 7, 8 month ROI, we'll talk more about those like windows in a minute. That they feel like they could get more than 100% return on their capital if they were to just trade with that capital. Now, I think there's some validity to that, especially if you entered into the market sometime in mid 2017, because everything was going to the moon, right? So if you
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
have if your capital did not have direct exposure to crypto, like you missed out on profits. There were no assets that were performing better than that, right? So why would someone take the risk to take some of their liquid capital that they could put into a coin and put it in like a physical asset like a miner?
So to me, it all stems back to passive income. So I've got those two articles that I put up. One was a super rig, it was a 12 card rig, and then the other one was just this budget build. And it showed that basically the ROI on them was, I mean, it was less than a year. I think the 12 card rig was like 290 days, and the 6 card rig was like 270. After that, you're in profit. So with that, it gives you more buying power, because like me myself, I take my profits from mining and I dump them into altcoins. So, or I keep the Ethereum, either way. But the fact that, I mean, you have your profit that you're getting from your mining, and then if you want to throw even more capital off to the side, it gives you more buying power if you want to buy altcoins or Bitcoin or whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, and I mean I have to agree with you, especially having seen that the market can go down too. Because the last 6 months of last year, I almost forgot that. Right, everything was
Oh
going
yeah.
up. It was you could get wrecked on a couple coins, but in general, like exposure was a good thing. Um,
Yeah, and I feel like mining in a bear market is a lifesaver a lot of the time,
yeah, yeah,
because
and
it's a continued inflow of income.
and at the end of the day, you're investing in a resellable asset, right? That
Exactly.
isn't just profitable, isn't just valuable to a crypto miner. That it's also valuable to gamers. And a lot of the resale market is to people that might have a resentment towards crypto but aren't 100% familiar with how to mine, or they're not even thinking about mining.
Oh
And that
yeah.
brings me to my next, that kind of leads into the next topic. But I want to say real quick, if you guys have any questions, we thank you for dropping in, watching the stream. You can drop them in the chat. We'll either answer them during the stream or afterwards when we get around to it. So Andy7 plays. Welcome back, Andy. If he asked, do we overclock our rigs? We are going to talk about overclocking in a minute.
Oh yeah.
So let's talk about how, if somebody doesn't have a setup, let's talk about how they should consider researching to buy a new setup. So let's talk about, we can talk about them in any order, but like, do you buy stuff brand new? Do you buy it used? How do we price out a rig and then figure out what our ROI is? And then how do we set it up? Do we use Windows? Do we use Linux? Let's talk about that for a few minutes.
Okay, so yeah, like for me, I'm big on buying new. I mean, if you can find used graphics cards from somebody that's reputable, then go for it. The biggest thing is what I tell people: if you're going to buy used cards, you need to be somewhat savvy to take them apart, clean them. I normally put some more thermal paste on them just to make sure they're good to go before I put them into a rig. But I normally buy new, so I like to use Now in Stock. It's a great source. I know a lot of people use it.
So I got that pulled up on screen right now. So
Okay, yeah.
we can like walk through people.
On Now in Stock, you can search either AMD or NVIDIA. The great thing with Now in Stock, especially with the shortage that we had for so long, is you can set up alerts, and it'll email you, and you can get them Newegg, Amazon, eBay, whatever. You can get an alert, but it also searches for the best price online out of all the online distributors. So that's my go-to, especially for graphics cards, because we all know how bad the price of graphics cards are right now.
Yeah, so
they've come down a lot, but they're still pretty high.
Yeah, so I'm putting the link in the chat. It's nowinstock.net. If you go to nowinstock.com, it just sends you to Amazon. It's some like Amazon affiliate link. And I made that mistake like 4 times in a row today. So that's what I'm telling everybody. But if you look on the screen, like Now in Stock is great. I used to use Now in Stock for a couple different things. Like if you're in kind of the toy reselling, business, which I messed around with for a while, it was really nice to be able to find these like collectibles that would go out of stock really quickly. And it basically gives you an alert on the equipment that you want. And so I can go on right now and I can see like where are 1070s, right? And so I could see B&H Photo, Jet.com, Newegg has the Strix gaming version in stock right now. Newegg has some other models that are a little bit cheaper. And so this is like a really, really good resource to buy new equipment. The other thing that's great about new equipment is you get the manufacturer's warranty, which can be difficult to redeem sometimes, but a lifesaver for a piece of equipment that you're running pretty hard. So have you heard about like anybody having their warranty nullified just because they were mining with the card? I mean, obviously if you like flash it, but just by mining, does that, do you think that affects the warranty?
No, I haven't. Cause let's be honest, there's no real way for them to tell if you were mining with that card or just using it for video games. So if you're within your warranty, you're pretty good.
So, and maybe we'll talk more about that when we overclock, about how
the
that
board or anything.
Oh, I lost you there for a second. Go ahead. You still there? You still there?
I can hear you again. Yeah, I lost you for a second. That was weird.
Yeah, Discord call might not be the most consistent. I just might not stream at home anymore. I don't know. Or I'll have to upgrade. I don't know if it's my plan, your plan, whatever. Inaugural episode, working out the kinks. So it looks like Discord looks like I'm not dropping any. OBS looks like I'm not dropping any frames. So I think we're good. So what were you saying about if you don't mess with the board?
A Newegg's really good if you get parts in and there's an issue with them, that their RMA process is really quick. So, and it's happened to all of us. I've gotten dead processors, dead motherboards, bad graphics cards just happen, especially risers. Yeah. Those are hit or miss.
Yeah. I keep hoping that it's the riser that's the problem with my 1570 that I can't get identified.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
But I've tried multiple ones. So, but that I also want to be clear. So you mentioned that if you buy used to clean it, if you are not familiar with how to handle electronics, be very, very careful doing anything more than like air dusting your graphics card. And if you do air dust the graphics card, I recommend you hold the fans, especially the NVIDIA fans, because you'll spin them real, real fast, and that's not great for the fan.
Invest in an ESD mat. They're lifesavers.
So explain what that is.
Electrically safe. basically no static electricity.
Right.
So it's good for if you're messing with motherboard and stuff like that. I mean, I know a lot of people, they'll just put it on top of the package because the package the motherboards come in are ESD safe, but buy them at, they're not that expensive.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like a discharge map, right? So that
Yeah.
because that's I think I burned out an old motherboard like a year and a half ago on an old computer just because I went in and was like putzing around with it and just I'm pretty sure I just shorted it. Stopped it. So, so if you want to find new cards, you can check it out on Now in Stock. So, what about where do you do research on, or what are your recommendations on power supplies? So, is that something that I should be worried about, or is it just like get the cheapest thing possible because it's economical?
Oh no. So
Right.
definitely, you definitely want your 80% gold, silver standard, the higher end stuff. You do not want to cheap out on a power supply because that can completely ruin your rig and fry your graphics card.
Yeah. So it has that little gold sticker on it, right? Let me see if I can pull it up.
Yeah, exactly. Corsair is for me. EVGA. There's some big ones, especially for the bigger rigs. There's an EVGA 1600 watt that's like the top,
Yeah.
but I think it's also like $400. So, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah. So how do I know if I'm just building a rig for the first time, how much what kind of wattage I'm going to need?
So if you go onto your what to mine,
Okay.
everything that's set up on there is your stock clocks, right? So this isn't with your BIOS flashing or turning down voltages, which we'll get to later, but this is just your basic stock clocks, which this is what your power needs are going to be because you'd rather have more power than less.
Yeah, so real quick before we jump over to what to mine, this is what the gold sticker looks like. 80 plus
Yes.
gold. Platinum would be even better. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I think two of mine are gold and then my big one's platinum. Which is definitely worth spending the money because I've gotten some cheap power supplies before and they go out in a few months and not running a rig 24 hours a day. And you kind of like max this stuff out, right?
Oh, you do,
Um,
because and that's the other thing too is you don't want too much on one power supply and tax it because you got to think your power and the graphics cards, the risers, the PCU, the CPU, the motherboard, hard drive, everything's coming off of that one power supply. So
right.
once these cards are running at 100%, you're taxing it.
Yeah. So do you purchase or do you build the rigs for your to hold your cards?
So there's a in the beginning I built some cheap just wood rigs. The main rig was in a milk crate.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, I used to do wood, but now, especially with the larger rigs, if I get the aluminum rigs, like
Yeah, I'm getting a picture of one real quick.
it's like $80,
This look at this one. This one's it might not be great.
but it's
Sorry. Go ahead.
for your motherboard.
So can you say that for the stream one more time? The Discord chat is going in and out.
So I go with the aluminum ones now. There's a 6 card stackable that's really nice on Amazon, and it'll hold your power supplies. It's big enough to hold 2 power supplies.
I think that's the one that I have. It's stackable.
Yeah, it's like $80.
Yeah, this one actually, I don't know if it has the fans on it, but I'll just show people for the picture. Give me
Yeah,
1 second.
basically that's it. I mean, cheaper, and you can build them out of wood, especially if you're trying to go budget. It doesn't have to look pretty. I mean, we're all in this to hash and make money.
Yeah, so this is a little nicer aluminum one. The Walmart one was cheap. It'll be up there in a second. No, this is you could probably find one a little bit more affordably, unless this one has the fans on it, which actually wouldn't be a bad price. But this is basically exactly what I have for one of my rigs is these fans, but yellow. Two
Yeah, those
power
are nice.
supplies. Yeah. And so that works real nice for me, especially for the Nvidias that I have some 1070s, and I feel like they could use a little additional ventilation because this is a pretty enclosed enclosure. So keeping air moving through it, I think, is really good. Okay, so
Yeah, that's the big thing.
so if I have so I know what cards are in stock. I know where I'm going to buy my rig. I know what my budget is. So then I hop over to what to mine. How do I figure out what my ROI is going to be? How can I figure out if it's worth the investment for me where I live?
All right. So basically, the first thing you're gonna have to do is look up to see how much your kilowatt per hour charge is in your area.
So
That's a big thing.
give me an example rig.
All right. So we'll just go big. We'll do a 12 card Vega rig. So we'll put in 12 cards for
Ooh.
the Vega 64.
Oh, 64?
Yeah, the Vega 64. So we can show people how much they can make.
Ooh, baby.
Yes, they're like $570 right now.
Yeah. So okay, and then so
put in the 12 and then click it so it turns red.
Right. So you click it. So you when you're calculating, you want to make sure that you have your cards red, and you can like switch that out. So if I have like two rigs, like my beastly Vega 64 rig, 12 card rig, and then my little 6 card 1070, I can turn it on and off by clicking here, and then you got to click calculate.
Well, so before that, right above a kilowatt per hour price as well.
So what do you pay for electricity? Because this is an important thing.
Yeah, so that baseline I think is based off of 10 cents, but I'm 12 where I'm at, which is crappy, but
you want to know what we are?
Bad.
You want to know what I pay here in Philly?
What do you pay?
0.067.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Well, they have that like private electricity around here, so you can like settle a contract for for like 3 or 6 months where you get like a reduced electricity bill, but you buy it from another company. It's very strange. Yeah. So let's put it in for my electricity so they could see what, and then we hit calculate, right? So then
yes.
So when we scroll down here,
who knows this is based off of completely stock clocks, completely stock voltages. This is straight out the box.
Right. Although I think some of them count some overclocking involved, or at least the drivers. Like if you hover, I know the 1070 says this is like
they do.
Yeah. So, but they're definitely not optimized. So I wouldn't. That might be a starting point for you, and we'll talk about overclocking next, right? But so I see here that this is going to take my Vega rig. It's going to take 2,760 watts. So that's how much my power supply's gonna need to supply, right?
Yes.
So what about for the motherboard and the PC, then in the CPU? How much do I account for that?
I personally I normally throw in like another 150 watts just to play it safe.
Okay, that's less than I actually thought. So that's like good to know.
Yeah. Because especially with the rigs that I've built, I mean, you're not going to have much of a taxing CPU. You're probably going to have a Celeron or something small like that that's cheap, just enough to run your rig.
Yeah.
You don't need a Ryzen.
Yeah. Although the one rig I did buy had a quad core Ryzen that I just like CPU mine with now.
Oh yeah, I definitely would.
Yeah. Okay, so now we see what our wattage is, and our daily cost in electricity at this rate is going to be like $4.50 a day, like $4.50 a day. But if we go down here, what to mine will show us what are the most profitable coins to mine right now, in the past 24 hours, in the past 72 hours, or in the past week. So right now, for Vegas, NeoScript on GoByte is right now it's almost twice as profitable as Ethereum, which I think is the baseline, right? You still with me?
Yeah, you broke up.
Oh, So Ethereum's like the baseline that they measure these percentage against, right?
Yes.
Okay. So
But the Vegas are the king of NeoScript. Like every AMD card from the 580 back is Ethereum, but when they went to the Vega, NeoScript is king.
yeah, so you can see it's like twice as profitable as um, Ethereum right now, at least. Let me just pull up a calculator so we can do some math in a second.
Yes.
So, but so Vegas aren't cheap, but we are looking at $36 a day in revenue today, at least. And after electricity, that's $31 of profit. So, how much is a Vega?
You can find them for $579 right now.
Okay, so let's say we had 579 times 12 is 69.48. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna pull up an Excel sheet because I want to do a comparison. I want to do like, okay, good, that showed up in the other window. So I got to tell you, I'm like not haven't streamed a ton, and my greatest fear is that I'm gonna like accidentally pull up some like private information for work or something on a stream, and I have yet to do that. So okay, so let's look at this. Let me type this stuff in here. So like Vega 56 12 card, right? And then we can look at
64.
Oh yeah, sorry. 56 64. So it's 579 a card times 12, right? We have 12 cards. So that's 69.48. And how much do you think you drop on a 12 card motherboard? Just like ballpark.
So I would say that and the CPU, you're probably looking at about $160, $170.
Okay, so that's fairly affordable. What about the PSU?
For this rig, you're probably looking at like $300 for two.
Okay, so 300
or $300 each, so 600 total. My bad. Sorry.
Okay, two, $600. And then how much for a frame? I know there's like risers and stuff like that, but I'm just trying to get the big ticket stuff right now.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the cheaper route. I'd say like $50 a piece because you're gonna need 2 frames.
Okay. So get 2 frames for $50 a piece. What you're saying?
Yeah, so $100.
Okay. So we're gonna do 50, 200 equals enter. Oh, I haven't used Excel in a while. Sum C2 to C5 enter. So 7818 is what we're looking at. So if we have 7818, right? And now if somebody logs on What to Mine and we see that the profitability is at 196%, that's probably not the number we should do long-term calculations off of. Would you accept that as correct?
Yeah, because that's just a coin that's probably up pretty good for the day.
Right. So if I look at this profitability over 7 days, do you think that's a little bit more reliable?
Yeah, that one's good. But I mean, at the same time, I would base it off of NiceHash because NiceHash is kind of a combination of all the coins for that algorithm.
So maybe if we looked at, NiceHash, yeah, because this is more consistent. I mean, within, 10%, maybe a little more. But so let's take that. Let's take 31.91. So let's say $32 of profit, right? So we divide by 32, right? So that's 244 days ROI, right? So 32 a day is going to give us 244 a day ROI. So how do you feel about a 244 day ROI?
That's really good right now, especially with where the market's at. It wasn't that about a month ago, I'll tell you that.
So what was it like a month ago?
Price of graphics cards. Oh, it was over a year.
Wow.
Like I couldn't talk people into getting into mining last month.
Yeah, so that's
I tried.
Cause it's interesting because I guess like I'm just such a vicious deal finder. I just have always been. I'm the kind of person who likes to hustle for things. Like, so we were talking about this. This whole used market is very familiar to me because before I found Bitcoin, well, I knew about Bitcoin before I got really into cryptocurrency investing. I was all about buying and selling Magic collections on like Facebook groups and Craigslist, and that was like my
Yeah.
hustle. And I was doing like real well with it, not crypto well, but relatively well. And so I'm really used to like scouring the internet for like the gems, right? Like people that don't put great descriptions, don't take great pictures, but there's something about the way in their language where I'm like, this is an authentic person. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
like you are. It's not that you are deceitful or that it's crap. It's that you're naive or lazy, which I can
Oh yeah.
profit off of, right?
When I go on eBay, I always go lowest price and just try.
Yeah, right.
With everything.
Lowest price, ending soonest, right?
Yep.
You know what else I like to do? You ever do the European Fat Fingers site?
No, I haven't seen that.
Okay, so Fat Fingers is like, let me pull it up. So Fat Fingers is basically this guy who's like, people type stuff wrong in the eBay all the time. And so what it does is you type in what you want to search, and then I'll pull it up for you right now. You type in what you want to search, pick which eBay, what country you're in, and then it searches all of the like things that people could be spelling wrong, right? So let me know when it pops up on screen. So it like puts two eyes, leaves out letters, things like that. So yeah, pull it. It's up on stream now. You see it?
Yeah, I see it.
So I can find, and then I can click to view on eBay, and this shouldn't be my eBay account. Okay, good. And so you see this guy like left out the eye on his rig right here. It'll pop up in a second. That's the one thing about voice chat we got to remember in the future. You're stuck on the delay too, which stinks. So now this isn't any great deals, but a lot of times you will find auctions that don't have a lot of competition because people are spelling everything wrong. So when they search, less people find it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a pretty good little trick.
Yeah. So I'll drop the link in the chat. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. So I like deal finding. So when I see, much more than like 200-day ROI, I kind of don't want it. But now you're telling me, you're kind of telling me that like that's kind of par for the course right now, right? Or even good.
Yeah, it is right now because I mean, with the prices dropping on these graphics cards, I've had to update. Like I did one for AMD, and like 2 weeks later, all the ROIs dropped from like 300 days to 250 days.
Nice.
Within the matter of a week. And I think it's because a lot of these companies are up in their stock, but yeah, it's really been more of a drop in the price of graphics cards than the market swinging up.
So let me so now let's do a comparison because I just want to show people that like sometimes buying the fanciest card is not the best, the highest EV play. So let's take a look at these cards that I'm looking at now. Those cards that I sent that we were talking about last night, did I say they were 570s or 580s?
I think it was a 570s.
570s. Okay. So I'm picking up 8 570s. And this is so this is me going the budget route. And so I'm spending like $215 each, I think. I'm just putting the numbers in to the spreadsheet that I'm going to pull up, and then we can show people the difference, right? 215 times 8. No. So what is it? 220. So 225. which is actually like higher than I wanted to pay because they're closing on eBay right now. A couple for 200, but this guy seems to know what he's talking about, and I have his name and address, so I kind of almost prefer to make that purchase, you know.
Yeah.
But so what
and
are
plus
you?
You can't beat it for the price.
Right. So what are you thinking about? What do you think about buying cards flashed? And we'll talk about. I promise we're going to talk about overclocking in a minute. But what do you buy cards pre-flashed or not pre-flashed? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, personally myself, either way, if I buy a card, I'm going to flash it myself, or I'm at least
Right.
going to check the what you did to it if I buy it used.
Right.
But
So,
I mean, as long as it's from somebody that knew what they were doing and the cards aren't burnt up, I really see no issue in it.
yeah, and that's
But always check them.
yeah, I definitely want to check him, but it's also like if he had it running on a rig and can show me the hash rates, that's also something that's like attractive to me, right?
Yes.
So,
Which, I mean, with those 570s, you can still hit over 30 millihash.
right. So let's take a look at. So now we're taking a look at this 570 rig, right? Which is a much different price point. It's $9 a day ish. No, let's say $9.50, right? Let's give it, because I am pulling. Well, I don't have a straight up rate, but I'm getting close to $10 a day, depending on the day.
Yeah.
So now this rig is only 20. So I'll actually pull up the thing now so we can take a look at it. So let's take a look at the difference here, right? So if we pull this up, oh man, Christopher Walken's head. The one thing about having you up on the screen is that I can't really move you out. So, okay, there we go. So let's look at what our ROI is going to be if we spend $23.70 on a rig. And I think that's actually like spending a decent amount on a power supply unit. So that might even be like,
oh yeah, because you'll be able to get cheaper on the power supply.
So let's see. So this is actually the same. This is about the same. This is like $249. So that is similar ROI, which is surprising. Sometimes I find on the more expensive cards, you know what it really is? I think it's the 1080s. When you do the math on the 1080s, I just don't.
The ROI for the 1080s, which I'm sorry, NVIDIA family, but the ROI is terrible right now.
Right. So we're really looking at
it's over 300 days.
So we are looking at like a 250 day-ish ROI. Now this is like not quite, What to Mine has some overclocking settings, but so let's talk about, do you overclock your cards and how? And in fact, can you shoot me the link to your article real quick? Or how about while you talk, I'll pull it up and I'll drop that in the chat.
So I do flash. It's a little bit, well, I wouldn't say easier on AMD and NVIDIA. A lot of the cards, the BIOS are locked, so you can't flash them anyway. You got to just overclock them. But I have the procedure. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm trying to find your article here.
Yeah, so there's a couple different programs that you have to pull up. For one, there's GPU-Z. Basically, that one's to basically ensure what version your card is, what type of memory you have, all that, because that'll need to be verified later on when you actually go into ATI Flash.
I'm trying to find. Kid, do you have your link handy?
Yeah, I'm about to pull it up right now.
Okay. So the reason I'm looking for a link, because Crypto Christopher Walken actually wrote up a whole article on how to flash, and has links to ATI WinFlash, GPU-Z, and these are the ways that you can basically take the BIOS. Awesome. In which chat? Twitch chat. Okay, sweet. Thank you. So check out his article on Whale Reports on specifically how to flash your BIOS with AMD cards. And again, it's more likely. Really, AMD is where you flash BIOS. Most of what happens on NVIDIA is just done through Afterburner. So in his article, he kind of breaks down some of the things that we're talking about right now. Here's the link to GPU-Z. Here's the link to ATI WinFlash. You're going to go into Polaris BIOS Editor and follow the steps. You have to do this stuff on each individual card unless you are 100% certain that every single one of your cards is exactly the same. Not just model number, but the same internal memory. So if in doubt, do it separately for all your cards. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
so
because the memory will mess up your settings. Because I also I think I put it in the article. If not, I can find it later. But there's a forum that it's not in the article. I'll have to put it up later. But there's a forum that basically has like every version of every AMD card ever and the BIOS settings that they recommend.
Oh yeah, Anorak Tech.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. It's got every version, and then they even have BIOS that you can download to flash depending on your version of the card.
Yeah. So
Just
but
community members have made them.
But you go to GPU-Z to find out what you're supposed to be looking up on Anorak Tech, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to drop that link as soon as I get it spelled right. There we go. So Anorak Tech, I'm dropping the link in the chat if you guys want to check it out. That's where you can download BIOS cards. But when in doubt, ask questions. If, guys, this stream is from, hosted by The Mountain. We have, a free Discord group. The link is in the chat from the Stream Elements bot. You can jump in and ask me or Crypto Christopher Walken questions. If you need a little help, be careful flashing your BIOS on your cards because you can brick the card. But I do believe it's worth it because what are some of the returns you're going to see when you flash cards? So like what does it start at unflashed and where does it end up?
So just as a baseline, so I'll go off of like a 480 or a 580. I've got the most of those. So like a 480 straight out the box, you'll get about, well, with the new drivers, maybe 26, 27 millihash. And with the BIOS flash, you're getting 31 and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. So like
that's another 4 millihash per card.
Yeah. So almost 20%, probably a little less.
And not just that, but also with the BIOS flashing, you can turn your voltages down, which then lowers your wattage, which then gives you more profit.
Yeah. So I have decided what my rig is, right? I'm buying all the parts on now in stock. I find out what my profitability is on what to mine. But this is all about GPUs. Do you have any opinions on ASICs?
I haven't dove very far into ASICs. I have been on the fence for buying a few, but I still, just in my opinion, I've always been more of a GPU guy, just because it gives me more options of what I can mine. I'm not locked into just one algorithm as you are with ASICs.
Yeah, and I 100%. I like GPUs, one, because I think they're more accessible. As low in stock as they are, they're more in stock than a really profitable ASIC is, right? They're also, I can keep them in my house more likely. They are hot, but GPUs are hot, but they're not loud. And ASICs are hot and loud, like real loud, like vacuum cleaner
screaming,
but annoying vacuum cleaner loud, right? Like I would pull it up on stream if I wasn't afraid that everybody would just leave the stream because that's how loud they are, right? But being said, they are way more efficient. And but this is really, we're talking about GPU miners today. I do have a guy that I work with that has an ASIC farm, and in a couple weeks here I'm going to get him on to talk about why he does ASICs, how he gets his ASICs, because I think there is an argument to be had, especially. Did you read the article by the Siacoin developer about
Yes,
ASICs?
I did. Actually, I was going to talk about that one. Well, not so much the article, but I don't know if you remember. So I was going to bring that up about ASICs. That
Yeah.
if you can get into a first batch of an ASIC, that is your home run return. Because Siacoin, I don't know who in here remembers when Siacoin first had their ASICs come out. People were making like $145 a day off of these ASICs. It was nuts, but it's because it's the first batch. And then once the hash rate and the difficulty went up, then it was just back to normal.
Yeah.
But they got their ROI quick.
But see, I know that's really the art with ASICs, right? Is like, how do you get in early, ROI as fast as possible, and maximize your profit window? Because the thing is with ASICs, when they're done, they're done.
Yes.
Right? When your ASIC is no longer profitable, it is a worthless piece of loud hot metal.
Yep.
Whereas like graphics cards, you know, how old is the R9 390s?
Oh my gosh, like 5-6 years old maybe by now.
Still selling for $200 online all day.
Yeah,
right.
And like we were talking, the 290X will still get you 30 millihash, and it's a almost 6-year-old card.
Yeah. Although you know what, it really is with the cost of the electricity, it really is a tough proposition. I see why they're so much cheaper.
Those cards are power hungry. That is the one drawback of the 290.
Yeah, but it's my point being that like these, you know, 8 GB 570s I have downstairs, they're probably going to have some legs on them in the resale value, especially since I bought mine used. I bought mine at less than, you know, eBay like retail price. So even if I lose 50% on it in the next year or two, that's a pretty big recoup of my investment.
It is,
from a hardware standpoint. So now I got everything plugged in, all set up. I got my cards flash, good to go. Do I run it on Windows or do I run it on Linux?
Oh, the great debate. So for me personally, because I've had a bad time with Windows, especially when you start going into the 5-6 card range, especially with AMD. Like I've heard from the NVIDIA guys that Windows runs pretty good with the NVIDIA miners, but with AMD, I have just go Linux. It's not that difficult to set up.
Right.
And it's all built in. There's so many different versions of Ubuntu that are already built in with miners.
So I can 100% firsthand attest to that my 6-card NVIDIA rig, no problem, runs on Windows perfectly okay, right? But the AMD rig that I tried to put multiple AMD cards and an NVIDIA card on it gave me hell to set up on Windows.
Oh yeah.
And then on your recommendation, I went and I just put Simple Mining OS on there, and it was set up in 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's easy.
It took me, I cannot tell you, like my wife, we're so stereotypical, right? She's upstairs, like she's in the living room, like watching her TV shows. And I'm downstairs in the basement, like cursing, throwing shit. You know what I mean? Because I just could not get it to like behave. And then it would run, and it was crashing all the time. And then I told you this is like my story, just so that you guys can forgive yourself if you make a mistake. When I first set up this rig, I would get it up, start the miner. I had everything set up like where if the computer would automatically restart, the miner would restart. I even had this cool PowerShell script that was monitoring the GPU temps, and when they would drop below a certain temperature, it would restart the miner. So I thought I had it all set up, and I'm like, this is going to be perfect. And every 30 minutes, the thing would just go down. And I'm like, what? I unplug everything. I reinstall all the drivers. I spent hours fixing this. And turns out I didn't turn off the auto sleep on the new Windows installation. And so everything was working, but 30 minutes into mining, the computer would just say, we're not doing anything. I'm going to shut down. And by the time I would get down there, I wouldn't realize that's what happened. So there's my little mining story. Forgive yourself if you, but even then Windows isn't stable. Like I could get Claymore, the Ethereum miner, to run real stable, but I could not get XMR Stack to run stable with the 2-card setup. I mean the 2 version, the NVIDIA AMD setup, until I ran the Simple Miner on it. So if you want to run Linux, simplemining.net and Ethos are the 2 best options, you would say?
Yes.
So Simple Mining has like a $2 per rig per month, but you can try it for free. It has all the drivers built in and a centralized dashboard where you can monitor all your miners. And
their website UI is very slick.
It's super slick. Or Ethos. Do you know the website on that? Ethos is, I think, also real slick, but it's like $40 up front. Is that correct?
Yeah, it charges more. That's why I end up using Simple Mining all the time. And you can actually you can have them send it to you on a USB stick.
Right. Although the thing that annoys me is that they're to straight up buy it is the same amount of money.
Hold on, I found it. I'm gonna throw it in the.
I already got it.
I got it. You did? Got it.
So they want $40 for the digital only version, and they want $40 for the version on a stick, which is like, at least give me a couple dollars for having my own stick. I don't want to wait for shipping from you, but I might
exactly.
But like the nitty part of me, I don't know. Do people in crypto say nitty? Is that a thing? So in like poker, if you're nitty, you're grubby. You like don't like to give up any of your chips. You play real tight, right? And so the nitty part of me, the coupon cutting part of me, wants to like wait for the stick to get shipped to me because I want a free USB stick, even though they're freaking $10 online. But there's something in my brain that's like, this is bad value. Get the better value, which is probably not. Especially with the amount of money that I spend on crypto, the fact that I'm like hustling them over $10 is like ridiculous. But Linux for me has been a great experience. It is harder to flash the cards if you're straight up on Linux. Would you say that's true?
Yes, it is. It is a pain. You can't go online. There's actually Simple Mining and the Ethos, they both have all the command lines that you have to run, but yeah, it's a pain. Yeah. Especially if you've never used Linux before, it can get confusing.
Yeah. Okay, so now I got Linux or Windows set up on my computer, and I want to go mine. Where do I start?
So the first thing you're going to need is you're going to need a MyEther wallet, or okay. I mean, we'll just go off of that.
So what do you think about this approach? So this is kind of my approach right now on the new rig I just set up, not the Linux one. Do you want to talk about NiceHash at all?
Yeah, we can go into that.
So for me, this, if you got a Windows rig, because to my understanding, you can't run this on Linux, right?
Well, you can point it to their website.
Oh, okay. So I'll have to check out how to do that on the other one. But so a NiceHash, you install on Windows, you install this super slick program that basically will mine the most valuable algorithm that people are trying to buy hash power for at that moment on your cards all the time. So it tries to maximize your profitability minus a small fee that you pay because you're selling your hash power to a market, and NiceHash is taking a fee out of that. So if you could perfectly just mine all this stuff yourself, that theoretically would be more profitable, but I don't think it would be practical. So my goal, or my plan is I want to run this for 2 weeks on NiceHash straight up, and that's going to give me my Bitcoin baseline. I've already run it for 2 weeks on Ethereum straight up, which is given my Ethereum baseline, and then all other spec mining I have to measure against those baselines. What do you think about that as a strategy?
That's actually a pretty smart plan. I mean, the one thing that I was gonna bring up, because we had it for NiceHash, is like personally for me, when we're in a bear market, if you're going straight off of profitability,
Yeah,
it's you're better off mining whatever's the most profitable. But if we're in a very volatile state or we're in a bull market, NiceHash is key, because the prices of these coins will flip flop so much that with the auto algo switching, it makes it so easy,
yeah.
and you end up getting more profit.
And I would even say right now, and then we'll answer Shadow's question. I would even say right now, from the 2 days I've had it on NiceHash, that NiceHash is, even in this market, outperforming an Ethereum baseline for me. You still there?
Yeah, you dropped off for a second. Sorry.
So I was just saying, like, even for me, NiceHash is running more profitably than my Ethereum baseline just from the 2 days I've been running it. So
yeah, that probably comes, especially because the market's actually come back up a little bit in the past 2 weeks, so that helps.
So Shadow wants to know Shadow Doggy has a gaming PC with the 1060 in it, which he's currently not using. So he knows. So first, like, how much can he make with the 260? And second, can you make more money with that JPU? So let's jump over to what to mine, right? And I'll put in one 1060.
Pop it in. Yeah.
So we'll look at one 1060, and you put in what your electricity is. But with my electricity, it would be 67 cents. So right now, the 1060 max is mining about $1 a day after electricity. So it might have been $2 at the high, right?
Yeah.
Well, so he says his electricity is free, included in his rent. So,
oh man, crank it up!
Crank it up!
Take the building down with mining power.
Right. Okay. So here's the it's kind of like the no-win scenario to test your mining commitment. So let's say you have an apartment that has unlimited free electricity. You're in a studio, unlimited free electricity, but no air conditioning. Do you mine that?
For the greater good, man.
For the greater good, right? I'll
buy fans.
I call it the sauna. Yeah.
Just sit on a box fan.
Yeah. So yeah, even with electricity free, it's like $1.17, right? So now this is using these stock settings, which is it with a little bit overclocked. I bet you could get a little bit more out of it, maybe like 25 megahash a second max, in my experience. So
overclocking, you get another 2 or 3.
Yeah, so you could get Shadow. You could get about 25 megahash, which is still only $1.22 a day. So if your computer is already on, I don't see there any downside in you, running it if you're not running it for anything else. But it is not super profitable, which is why a lot of these rigs I'm looking to buy, dedicated. I'm looking to buy like a dedicated rig because I look at mining the same way that I look at my cryptocurrency investments. I want to make investments that are consequential. Like if I go 300% on a minuscule investment, it just doesn't feel rewarding to me. It doesn't scratch the itch that I need scratched so that I don't go buck wild on some bad risk management investments. And mining is the same for me, where it's like I want it to return an amount of money that at the very least is like consequential over time, right? So these rigs that are doing $10 a day, like what's $10 a day? It doesn't feel like a lot of money. But when I start to think like, oh, like $300 a month, $450 a month. Once I get this
there's
third,
365 days in a year.
right, and suddenly it adds up. Now he's saying he's afraid if it only mines a few, that the GPU will break. Right. So it's that's true. You may burn out. You could burn out your power supply if you don't have like a gold rated power supply. So my thing is, it's all about risk versus reward. A dollar a day for me doesn't get me going. But the other thing is, and this can transition to our next topic about what you do with your mine coins. All of us are in this game because we have we are basically under the assumption that crypto is going to go up. That's like an assumption that we're making. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Exactly. Yes,
right.
I do.
Like if we didn't think crypto was going to go up, I wouldn't be in crypto right now. Maybe not up right away, maybe not up the whole time, but in general, this space is going to be profitable. Again, one day, soon, I hope. I promise.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So what I think one of the ways to look at this, or at least this is how I'm looking at this, is that the $10 a day that I am mining now, if I were to hold it for 90 days to 6 months, is probably more like $20 a day, if not $30 a day, if I invest it the right way. And so one of my favorite things to do is spec mine on IDEX. Have you done any of this? Can you hear me?
You broke up at the end.
So one of my favorite things to do is spec mine on IDEX. Are you familiar with this?
Well, I don't know about spec mining IDEX, but I'm definitely a big IDEX gem hunter.
So it's just like, so mine Ethereum, and I send it, I go right, as soon as I can afford an IDEX position, I buy an IDEX position.
That's exactly what I do.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And so by doing that, I feel like I am putting myself in the position to, double or triple those returns. I could also lose 50% of it, which is a possibility on IDEX all the time, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So but that's one of my favorite approaches is, you take, I, instead of just like jumping around on what to mine, I take the Ethereum, which is usually close to one of the most profitable opportunities, within a few percent. But my consideration is if I can mine it stably and build up IDEX positions, then I basically like get to buy all these ICO coins with my miners. It's like free ICO coins, which I think is a great investment strategy.
Yeah, it really is. That's exactly what I do. And actually, that's why my channel's mining and IDEX. They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because I actually, to me, like that kind of saved my portfolio after the January. Before IDEX got popular, that was just the place to be. Just go buy these coins with your mining profits and sit and wait.
Yeah.
And then they pop and then you sell them and you can move on to the next one.
Yeah. What crash? We had a crash in January?
What?
Crypto went down? What? I'm in such denial. It's so bad. That's so bad.
You ever see 20 years ago, right? In crypto years?
Right. Did you ever see that meme with like the little baby that looks in the wallet and it's just like dies? Oh, you can't see my camera. You ever see the meme with the baby that like looks in the wallet and then just like flops over like dead?
Yeah.
That's how I feel every time I look at my Blockfolio.
Because
it's still like, listen, I took a ton of money out of crypto. I'm way in profit, like from an ROI initial investment standpoint, right? Like I told you, I turned my magic cards into a small fortune, but it is so much smaller than it was just a couple months ago in dollars. And that hurts. That hurts, even though it's still like up year over year,
Oh yeah.
So, is there anything else you want? So is there anything else that you want to talk about? I know usually I like to keep these to about an hour, And if there's nothing else you want to talk about, I definitely want you to like tell people where to find you. Tell them about your Twitter handle, which I think is a great follow. Tell them about how to find you on Whale Reports. Where can people find you?
Oh yeah, so I'm at Crypto Chris W on Twitter. It's Crypto Christopher Walken. On Telegram, I have my channel. It's Walking on the Moon, and then inside of there, I have this link to a group chat that I keep private, just so I keep the riffraff out. And then yeah, I'm a content contributor for the Whale Reports. I do all their mining articles. I think I have about 9 or 10 on there at this point.
Yeah, and we got you.
I made an entire beginner series on there, so that was my big push, because I feel that mining is starting to become big again. It's about it, so it's exciting, man. I want a miner in every home.
Yeah, so check out that series. It is great for beginners. It really, really is. Even if you're not a beginner, it's actually like it'll dig into some next level stuff. Make sure you check him out on Twitter. You can also see him chatting in the mining room at the Mountain. We run a free Discord.
I'm here now.
Yeah, right. We run a Discord group, free Discord group. Links in the chat if you want to join. You can follow me on Twitter at CoinspiracyNut. And I really appreciate you coming on and chatting. And I hope we can do this again. I definitely want to make Mining Mondays a regular thing. I know there's a couple other people I want to hop on, but I'm chatting with you in the Mountain like day in, day out about like mining opportunities. So I want to check in and do this again and update with people once my basement is full of graphics cards and my wife leaves me.
Yeah, man, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely be here again.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for everyone that hung out and participated in the chat. And we'll see you this Wednesday at 4 o'clock for a technical analysis discussion. We'll do some fundamental analysis on some coins. We're gonna do something on Fridays that's gonna be a little bit fun. Thank you, Dream. Make sure. Thank you, Dream It. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see the rest of our streams, and join us in the Discord if you have any questions to ask us directly. Thanks, Aris. We appreciate it. So, Crypto Christopher Walken, thank you so much for hanging out, and I will talk to you on the Mountain.